Hey guys, how's it going? Ghostly Rich here today, and today I'm going to be working on this Jeep Cherokee XJ. As you can see, she's going to be doing some off-roading. So the first things we got to be looking at is, of course, the most important part, a good sound system. So the parts that we have to work with are, we've got some Hertz 6.5s. We've got another pair of Hertz 6.5s. We've got a Hertz 5-channel amp. We've got some Kenwood Excellion because we needed to stay with a single DIN. And then we've got some cabling here to run for all our speaker wires and our sub. And then on top of that, we've got a good wiring kit, which is crucial. We did pick up a BHA 1817, and we picked up this because I had not seen the vehicle. My buddy just told me, hey, I picked something up, come and check it out. So, as you can see, he told me, oh, it's got a factory Pioneer in here. Well, the Pioneer didn't really do a factory for this one. So, first thing I did was I pulled that off, shoved a couple keys in, found the Pioneer keys, which were these two right here, slipped them in to the sides. If you've never done that before, it's just real simple, just like that. And then just stick it in there, and then you kind of squeeze them together as you pull it forward, and then it'll come out like that. After you got it out a little bit, slip your keys out, and of course your deck won't be that far out. I was just doing that, and then hey, look, you have that right there. So next thing you'll do is pop this out. Now if you don't want to pop apart the entire dash again, which I totally understand, right here you can use a pick to bring up the barbs. So just look on the side. See these little barbs that are on the side here? See if those are pressed in, locking it in. If they are, then all you're going to do is use your hook pick and bend them out. I'm going to actually pull this stereo out of here while I'm in here and then just get it out of the way. If you want to see how to take this apart, I will quickly show you how this pops off in a second. Let's say you have a fresh one here and you're like, oh, I've got the stock, what do I do? Just grab the bottom corner, pull out. Do it on both sides if you really need to. You can grab it, slide it out of the way, and oh look, screw, and look it's a good thing we have a new dash kit, because when you off-road with these ones, they tend to break. So I'm glad we have a new one here for a new dash kit. Put that in there, and yeah, all you're gonna do is loosen these two bolts, pop this out, and then I'll show you how to solder the harness. Once you got your 10 mil, go ahead and pull it out. And that one, which is already broken, so that one won't matter. But for you, if you're doing this, just pop those two out and get these out of here. Once you unbundle these, it's literally just matching up the colors. You can see you have an illumination wire. You have, which is only for some decks. Let's see, does this deck have it? No, we do not have an illumination wire, so we won't need that. And then as you can also see, let's break these down for you. The white ones are your front. This one right here is your one of your fronts. Let's see, this is your left. This is your front left. Gray is your right. These are both your negatives because they have the black line through it. Red is your switched accessory. Illumination is orange and white. Yellow is constant power. And then you will see on here that you have the other side of those two. And then you have the green, which I can't remember if it's left or right. It says so right on the wire. It'll tell you it is rear left. Green is rear left. And then purple is rear right. So if you're diagnosing a problem, now you know. Purples are and whatnot. And then you have this one, which is for a power antenna, not to be confused with hooking up to your amplifier remote turn on if you're doing an amp like I am. So when you're going through your harness, you'll see one that might just say amp turn on. If it doesn't say, this is for a remote, not the same as an antenna. So if you have a powered antenna, right there, antenna control. This one should be good here. So the next thing that you should take a look at after you've taken a look is, see how this ground wire is a little longer? Leave it long, because in the XJ you have to, you can either put a blade connector on it, or you can just solder it right to the ground wire that's there, or you can put it onto your own frame piece, but that's the only one that isn't on these harnesses. So just go ahead and match them up just like they did here. See how they have a bladed connector? That's so it can slide right in if you don't want to cut and solder or crimp in the vehicle. And then literally it's just color matched. The only one, like I said, that you might not use is the illumination. There's also sometimes a remote turn on or steering wheel control. I would, mute in this case, but you would just leave these ones bundled up how they are if you're not going to use them. And then, like, let's say for illumination on the deck side, I would just trim that off, just cut just the little tip off if you don't have a deck that has illumination. But other than that, just wire it up. For me, I'm probably not going to be using the stock speaker wires. So in that case, I will not be hooking up the deck end of the speakers. That's why I'm showing you this complete harness, because literally off this, I'm only going to be using the remote turn on. I'm going to be using the ground and the 2 powers, and that's it. So from this point, see that barb right there? Let's show you right here how it just, you can see a little bit of body through that barb. So we're going to bend that one up. And then we'll bend up this one and then do the same down here. You'll have one barb, which is gonna stick out a little bit more, which is this one right here. You can see it right there. So you just take a little flat blade or a pick tool and you bend it up and make it so it barbs behind the plastic here so it cannot be removed from here. Once you do that, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can either just preload the deck into here, which is what I'm going to do. Make sure those 2 tabs are bent in like that so they lock in properly. And then you just slide your deck in. And again, if you want to, you can first bolt this into the deck, make sure nothing's going to interfere and everything's good. I've opened the wiring kit and a couple RCAs. As you can see here, we have one set that I've put 2 bands of black tape on each side. And what that does is tells me that's the subwoofer. And then if you take a look here, I have one that is currently has no tape on it. That's going to be the front. And then you have one here that has only 1 band of black tape on each side, and that tells me it's the front. Or sorry, the rear. So no tape is front, 1 band is rear, and then 2 bands is subwoofer. And that's how I like to remember which RCA goes where, and I do that on each side so that way I know at the deck and I know at the other side. The other thing you can do at this point is unravel all these cables and just do a wrap of tape every couple meters, and what that allows you to do is, every couple feet, and allows you to clean up your wiring as you go into the vehicle and keeps it all together. I usually like to tape together all 3 RCAs, and then I attach a remote turn on wire with that. Once you have something like this, then you're ready to run it through the vehicle. And we're going to be running it through on the passenger side because I'm going to try and send the power through the driver's side. It's always best to try and run power separate from the RCAs just in case of white noise, which you will definitely know if you get it. It's an alternator whine is the other noise. And if you have it next to power, if it's generating enough current, it can start having some interference in your sound. So there's 2 ways you can get your power wire in on this vehicle. The 2 ways are, if you look right here, you could drill a hole through this hard plastic here and run it through here. If you do, I highly suggest that you silicone it to seal it afterwards. You only have this if you have a clutch plate, if you don't have a clutch in the vehicle. If you do have a clutch in the vehicle, then if you look right here, there's this rubber grommet. What you could do is if you take a hook pick like so, you could actually just poke right through this rubber grommet, be very careful, and then from there you would gauge it with a little bit bigger, and basically all you would be doing is gauging it. I like to use Phillips. Some people like to try and use flat blades. Just be careful, there is wires in there and you do need to be careful of those wires. So I put a Phillips head screwdriver through there. As you can see, it's moving very smoothly, and I've got this on here. The next thing I would highly suggest you do is lube this up with a little bit of hand soap. And then what you'll do is, as you pull it through and it's lubed up with hand soap, it'll help lubricate it to get through that little hole. And that's just leading to over here. So I'm just gonna pull on that and see if she comes through. I have this end here because it'll either connect right here, or I've also got a terminal right here it might come off of, but it'll be on a different angle. It'll probably go down a little bit and then connect like that. So I've got my first app strap. I haven't finished these ones yet because I want to make sure I get everything the way I want it, but fuse will be right here. Make sure that's there, or well, you have a fuse and then you mount it with your zap straps along here, and then it just goes into your grommet. Have it hanging out in here. After this, just tuck this power cable down here and close the hood. You're not going to be doing anything else in here till the whole amp is done. What you're going to want to do is pop all the Phillips screws along here on both sides, so we can pop this big long plastic trim piece out. There should be one more screw right here, so take that one out so we can pop this out too. Next thing I would suggest is just emptying your glove box, because we're going to take out these two rubber pieces right here. That's going to allow us to do is flip our glove box down to get at things. Oh look, more surprises. So what I like to do is run my wires back here and then down through here when it comes to running my RCAs. The reason why is because then it doesn't droop after a while. So you'll see my finger right here. Bring your wires up through here and then go from right here into this compartment. The other way you could of course do this is, if you wanted to, you can tuck it in along your center console right here. It'll get a little bit tricky to tuck it in here. Just be careful when you are. It could interrupt with this. If to do it properly, you'd remove your entire center console, but if you wanted to, you could just tuck your wire in to here nice and deep, and then it would come out right here behind the seat. All I did is I took that same stick, dropped it. You can see the foot of it down there. All I'm going to do is tape the wires on, pull it up, and I think I'm actually going to use this this center console area instead, just because then I don't have wires running across the floor because of where I'm mounting my amp. So again, just taping it there, and then I'm going to tuck it along the edge here. There you go, tucked it in. Looks nice and good. And it's from front to back. Comes back here, clean those RCAs up in the end. First thing we're going to have to take a look at is the Phillips right here. So remove this Phillips, and if there's one here, which this one doesn't have it right now, is this one. So remove that one. So take those out first. After you have those screws out, now we're going to have to remove the handle. But if you separate this, see how there's a little clip in there? See a little bit? So you'll see the tip of this clip as you turn the window crank, and you'll see that it's got two sides and it's shaped like this. What it does is, we call them Jesus clips because they slip on like this. There's two ways to get it out. See how this is aimed? You would slide that in and it would push the clip out. Keep in mind, these clips love to bounce. If you don't have that, you can also use a hooking style to try and hook one side of it and flick it out. It's a little bit fun, but you will get it. Let's see if I can get it for you right now, one-handed. Yeah, it just went under the car. I'll grab it. But now, with a little bit of pressure, that comes off. Literally, you just find the tip of it and you grab it and you pull it. I'm gonna go fish my clip out from under the car. That's what it looks like. So like I said, you're just grabbing that with the hook pick and then flicking it out. After that's out, next thing you're gonna wanna do is grab around the edge and slowly start getting these. Again, these can tend to break depending on how old they are. Clips that, I mean. So you might want to pick up a couple extras and go from there. Oh, I missed one Phillips right here. Let's take this. Figured, because that was being way too hard. There we go. And then you just grab and lift up. go. After we get this off, you'll have this little clip right here and this one right here. So watch this. I don't know if you can see my thumb right now. See how it's on the black clip? It turns sideways like that, and you unhook it so it comes off of there, and then this will slip up and out. You might have to take some tension off the latch, but yeah, see how it just turns sideways? Same with the yellow. You just have to push it with your finger and it unclips. I'm gonna have to put the camera down though, so just push it sideways off of the metal bar so the metal bar can slip out. After you bend these out of the way, like I showed you how you move them off, you just work out the two lines. Now you'll notice that we have to pop the window switch out. I like to put my finger on the inside and just pop it forward. Or if you really want to, you can look into the hole. There's a duck tab and you can try and release it that way. I like to just, like I said, put pressure on it from the base and then flip it up. If you have a couple panel popping tools, you can go in from the sides and lift like that. After you get it out, all you're gonna do is see right here, grab it, and then you pull it towards you. Don't push on it in, but actually pull it out, and then it comes out. So you have to pull this one, not push it. All there is to it, if you're going to be replacing your speakers like I am today, all you would do is take off these two screws here and the whole speaker should pop forward. The person I'm doing this for had mentioned that they didn't have their front speakers working. Take a look at this. That explains a lot of why it wasn't working. The magnet and whatnot has cut the wire. So the wire is somewhere, oh, it's right here. So I either have to extend these two wires, or I'm going to have to just run a new wire through this grommet right here, which might be easier because that's a big open grommet. I think that's what I'm going to do, just run a brand new wire, fresh one from here to here. Well, I'm putting a component set in here, so my plan is to clean this up and put some Velcro right here, and then I'm going to run these little wires into here and down to here, and then have the crossover under each door, or not door, but area here. So I'm running a new wire from here to here. If you have coaxial speakers, this will be easy. Just smack the coaxial in there, and if you're not, then you have to be like me. Or you could throw something on your door panel up here if you wanted, and then it would just go on the door panel and you would have it on quick disconnects for that. It'll be majorly up to you on which area you'd like to go with this. So all I did is I popped this out. It's pretty easy. You just squeeze it out with your thumb, and then you literally compress it, throw your wire through here, and then it'll literally come out right here. Like, it'll just drop in here and you can grab it, or you can stick your fingers in there and grab it, because once that's compressed you can touch your fingers easily. And then we just need this rubber grommet right here. You can either try to go through here or poke a small hole and then fish your wire through it. Flexed it like this, then like that, grabbed with a pair of pliers. I'm going to wire it right here, and then I'll have the crossover down here. I already have this wire here now. How I got it there was I put it here, popped out the grommet on this side, and I got my hole through here. I just cut one, little one right here, fed it through. Now I can lock this back in, wire my speaker in, and call it a day. You can do this either way you like. I just like to solder mine, so I soldered mine on. If you want, you can use the duck tabs. Other than that, I'm gonna, or well, the spades as I should say, so you slide your spades on. Now I'm just gonna put this back on, button up my door, and then I'll do everything under the dash. If you're going to be using the factory wiring, your front left should be light green, red for positive, light green, green for negative. On the right front, light blue, red is positive, light blue, black is front right, negative. And then on the rears, left rear, you're looking at green and white. Oh wow, here, I'm just going to show you on here. So dark green, white, so the more pronounced dark green, white is your positive. Your white green, or your white slash dark green, so it'll be majorly white with a dark green stripe, and that will be your negative, and then white purple will be the other positive, and then tan dark green will be the negative. So again, you can get this information from the 12volt.com. I would highly suggest typing that into Google if you're doing this, so you can confirm your wire colors. The 12volt.com, type in wiring diagrams and just select your year, make, and model, and then select the one that matches your wiring colors. So for me, my speaker is actually going to be too big for right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be mounting it on the outside of the panel, which I was already worried anyway about that panel for clearance issues. So what I'm going to actually do is use an oscillating tool and cut out the circle here, so that way I can slide the speaker directly in and also space it out a little bit more from the window, so I know my window is going to clear. So right now I'm going to pop my door panel back on. So I oscillated out about this much from there and it was literally just the roundness of the grill. After I did that, this bolted directly on. So now I can start working on the inside of the vehicle after I adjust the window crank. Very important, once you get this all said and done, where did I put it? There it is. Put your window crank on if you have manual windows. Make sure it's on all the way. And make sure you can put your window all the way up and all the way down. If it doesn't, you'll have an issue. So up here, you're going to solder these two on. Make sure you know which ones are positive. For me, I always use writing as my positive. So after that, I'm going to tape these up and keep it nice and sleek. Then I'm going to feed it into here, and then I'm going to, this one's up here, this one's here, both wires are right here. We're going to pop this open, and you do that just by squeezing this and pulling on the bottom, and it'll pop out, and then we can screw the positive and negatives into each for the tweeter and the other. If you're taking a look here, you'll see TW plus is this one, TW negative, so that's for your tweeter. WF is your woofer, which is in the door. So plus negative, and then the in goes to your deck. If you're going to power it from your deck, you're going to just throw a wire down here, and then you'll connect it into that negative and plus. If you're not going to do that, like I'm not, I'm going to just be running the wire here and then down the center console and to the back where I have an amplifier. And that's the part that will go to your amplifier. Threw on one of the plastic covers just so it blocks it from your leg resting on it, or if you need your leg to rest on something, you can. Threw that wire back here, and then I just dropped the amp back here so I can start wiring things up. These are my RCAs. If you remember, 2 was to the sub, nothing was to A, and then 1 band of tape was to the rears. So I just put the front left in, positive on the top, negative on the bottom for this specific amp. I also quickly threw in my remote wire. If I wanted to, I might just do that. Just quickly just smack my power wire in while I'm back here too. Have that all done. And then I just need to run my negative. And then it's just running each speaker to the amp. So the next thing I'm going to do is get at my, what I call my cleaner. It's just steel wool. I'm going to clean this up, go straight down past the paint so it's nice and rough, and then we're going to drill in our negative. To get to this point, as you can see, I've gone down, it's nice and shiny. Now the reason why I don't go to floor pans is because of the fact that if water gets under there, it's going to rust, and it will still rust up here. So I do suggest you put a little bit of primer paint on here after. Just fold this down, quick spray, or spray on a rag and rub it on, whatever you want to do, and just make sure it's covered. As you can see, it's tightened on. Now this is the point where you would put your primer on just to protect it and let it dry for about 15 minutes, and then you can slap this trim back together. This is good now. Now we just have to run each speaker to here. I'm not going to bother showing you how to do that passenger side because it is quite easy. You're just going to shoot that wire through the glove box and then down over here. And if you want, you could go down along the glove box or the center console, just like we did before. That's what I would do. Just weave it through to the deck, drop it down, then bring it over here so all your wires track down the same. You don't have to try and fish it through that carpet there. It could be a little bit annoying. Let's take a look at these rear speakers. So for the rear speaker, just reach up here, pry down, and work your fingers around like that. next is to pull that speaker out. Here's, I've decided to use the wiring because the wiring looks like it's in great shape. So my 6.5 fits perfectly in here. I've just put the colors in as they should be. Brown, yellow should be in positive on the end, and then that's going to go up in here, and then the other one is the negative, obviously. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mount the tweeter over here in the corner. I'm going to have it aiming this way. So I'm going to grab the tweeter mounting one, screw that into here, aim it that way, and then we'll drill a hole, feed the wires up in here. Those will go here. Then we'll put a small wire here for the woofer, and then we'll tie it in. My plan is to Velcro and cram it up here with a little bit of foam, not so it puts so much pressure on the headliner, but so that way it doesn't rattle around when he's driving around. So we'll do that, and then we'll do the same to the other side. So with these Hertz tweeters, they come with these little adapters to aim them like that. And that would be for if someone was sitting in the back. You don't want it directly in their ear, otherwise it'll be really loud. If you wanted to, you could also mount it like this, but I like it right there, I think, just so it can aim a little bit there. And then if you really wanted to, and you want to give it a crazy angle, you could, of course, mount it right here, so that way it aims more at the driver up front, which is another possibility. Maybe I will do that, I don't know. I'm going to take a quick look, and that way it just aims over there. Tweeter is mounted, this is here. So next is to clamp the cover back on. I've already put some Velcro on the other side, and then I'm going to shove it up in the headliner and stick it to the roof. And that's the other side done. I ended up putting these grills on because the old grills wouldn't fit. Unfortunately, we are going to have the holes of the old grill, but at least we have something clean right here. Again, if you buy certain speakers that don't have such excursion or have a little bit smaller footprint, the old grill will probably go back on. Didn't even take off this door panel. I just cut it out and then pulled out the other speaker just by popping out the clips, and then bolted this one on, and of course ran my wiring through the grommet out through here, and that's where I hid this one. It's probably not going to show up. There it is. I tucked it in right there in the glove box, right across here, one more zap strap here, put one over there, and I fished it from here to right here, and then it's going to go down and along through there. Now I'm going to solder on the two for the rear speakers, and I'm just going to grab the deck harness, and then not off the deck side, but off the vehicle side, we're going to solder two lines on. They're going to feed back to the amp for the rear speakers. All I did is tuck the wires in right there, pulled them up here. These will get tucked in down over here. You'll flex your console down and just move it around to the open area at the bottom. And don't worry, your dash panel will hide all this. So yeah, just get that over there like that. Ta-da! Then those can be tucked in. And then, as I said, you plug your factory harness in like so, or sorry, your aftermarket harness into your factory harness, just like this, and then you solder on, and then now you're just going to tape or heat shrink, whatever, after you solder them. And then after we do that, we'll cut off all the extra, like all the front speakers, the grays and the whites, cut those tips off. All right, so that's the ground, just solder onto there. Ignore my wiring. Like I said, I'm doing a different system than you might be. If you have an amplifier, then you would do what I did, which I only used the power, the constant, and the ground, and then I have a remote wire that goes to turn on my amps, and then I have all my RCAs. So from this point, we're gonna bolt in our DIN kit, and then we can plug in our stuff and slide it in. Things to look for is you're going to want your antenna plugged in, and then you also have that microphone. What I would do, and what I like to do, is just clip the microphone right on the top of the dash kit here, and then when you sync it in, the microphone is right here, and it's not near the window, so that way if you're driving with the window open and you get a phone call and you quickly answer, then you don't have to worry about wind noise. If you take a look, the other two things you want to do is quickly fish these two USBs, and I already popped these out as I showed you. You're just gonna fish or drop these. Just toss the deck up there all I did is I tossed it behind the climate controls, popped it in through here, and I popped them both out right here. So the next thing to do, plug in your aux, if you have an aux, plug in your microphone, and I have it just bundled there, and the microphone sitting up there. I will take care of that when I clip that on. And then for me, since I have an amplifier, I have all my RCAs plugged in, and just remember which ones went where if you have an amplifier, because if you don't remember, then your fronts could end up as your rears, and your rears could end up as your fronts, and you might try to set sub notes to the wrong thing. So definitely make sure that's taken care of. And so as we're lifting this up, we're going to plug in our antenna because it's a little bit shorter. So lift it up, plug that in, and as we sync everything back, we'll make sure it all sits nicely, and we will go from there. And we'll put these 2 screws in, and then we can test it. All right, guys, make sure you plug in your RCAs as you remember them. Remember, for me, it was front, no wire or tape. Then the rears had 1 band of tape, and then the subwoofer had 2 bands of tape. Then plugged in my microphone, plugged in my deck harness. And again, the only thing we needed from our deck harness was red, yellow, black, and then to hook onto the blue white with your remote wire, because all the other speakers are useless. And then we tapped off the rears with that other, so just like that. Next, let's just flip this up and in and go from there. So all I've done is put the key into the on position. We now know that this works. I'm gonna put my foot on the brake, shift this into neutral, and I'm gonna quickly put that cover back on. But this is good that that's working. So I still have some cleaning up to do here, obviously, but just to show you, I put the left and left A for front, and then right front in A, and then these are your 2 rears, and then this is the sub. I didn't show the sub because the sub's going to be getting moved, but I just put the sub wire in there, and then I quickly checked it over here. Red and black sub, and then just put into positive negative here. Let's go bolt that fuse on so we can listen to this and make sure everything's going. Let's quickly go over this. So these were set at full. I quickly just set them to RMS, which is halfway. And if you take a look here, what you'd want to do is just set these. I like to set them straight up and down, just like this one. Just a little bit up, but whatever. So then I set my high passes at 80. And again, this is going to be up to you. You don't have to set your high passes at 80. You can always just not use it, and then you just do it through the deck. So you would say full and full and full, and then you just do all your settings through the deck. That's completely up to you. Just remember these gains, which are right here, 1, 2, and this is your sub gain. Make sure you drop those down a little bit. And then again, for your sub, set if you want to, or actually it's gonna make you, I think, set it. But either way, just make sure you set those. After we've got those all set up, now we're just going to go and give it some power. So from this point, you're just gonna bolt it. I used a side post and I just bolted it to the side. If you're coming here, all you would do is loosen off that 10 mil right there and slide it on just like this is on. The reason why we put this is so that way when he adds more accessories, he can do so. I'm gonna throw one more zap strap here and close the hood. All right, guys, let's show you the system. Let's start that from the beginning. Other than that, guys, all that's left is to bolt down the amp, clean up some wiring with some zap straps, and everything is working good though. I'm gonna leave it at that. Again, every set of speaker is gonna need fine tuning, so play with those gains, and if you start getting any clipping, turn them down because you don't wanna blow your speakers, and of course, try not to go past your RMSs to extend the quality and the length time of your amp's life. Other than that, thanks again for watching. Press like if it helped you out and subscribe for more.